In this section, we'll talk about inductive bias in decision tree. So, what is inductive bias? So to say in simple terms, because of the way we are constructing our tree, or because of the way we are constructing our hypothesis, uh, so there is some tendency. So we know that there are many hypotheses possible for a data set. Okay, some good, some bad, and so on, which are consistent with the data set. There are many hypotheses possible. So our method of creating the hypothesis, so among the set of hypotheses, which one it will choose. Okay, say there. So depending upon the method we employ to arrive at an hypothesis has a certain tendency. So there are many of the hypotheses possible for a given data set. How many, what hypothesis we choose through our method. Okay, so our method, which type of hypothesis which is consistent with the data set is chosen. Okay, so that is inductive bias. There is bias towards some types of hypothesis because of our method to construct the hypothesis. So this is inductive bias. So how does these things work out in a decision tree learning? So inductive bias is for is can be analyzed for every type of hypothesis. In the first module, hypothesis in the form of tuples. Now hypothesis in the form of a decision tree. There are many decision trees. This is inductive bias in decision tree learning. So we know there can be many decision trees possible for a given data set. And now what our method of ID3 algorithm, so what kind of hypothesis or what kind of decision tree our ID3 tend to select among all the set of possible decision trees which are consistent with the hypothesis. So that's what we'll study in inductive bias in decision trees learning. So we'll see the first point. Inductive bias is a set of assumptions. Here assumptions means hypothesis. Okay. So inductive bias is a set of assumptions that together with the training data, that means the set of hypotheses consistent with the training data. That's how we have to take the meaning. So deductively justify the classification assigned by the learner to the future instances. Okay, so what among the set of hypotheses possible, inductive bias says what kind of hypothesis our method have tendency to select. There are hypotheses 1 to 10, for example, we will take. So we employ certain strategy. So what kind of hypothesis we select from 1 to 10? So our strategy have some tendency to select hypothesis 5. Okay, that's what analysis says. Okay, so that will be the inductive bias. So our hypothesis has tendency to select say hypothesis 3. Okay, has a tendency to do it. So that is bias towards hypothesis 3. Okay, so that's what our first point is saying. So we have to read assumptions as hypothesis. So the other part of the further part of this point tells that so it's a inductive bias is a set of hypothesis. So assumptions it is, you have to write assumption, but the meaning I am saying. Okay, so inductive bias is a set of hypothesis that together with the training data, so deductively justify the classification, means that are which are justify the classification means correctly classifies consistent with the data set. So that is the meaning. That's about the first point. Second point makes it clear. Inductive bias of ID3 consists of describing the basis by which it chooses one of these consistent hypotheses over others. So there are many hypotheses. So on what basis our ID3 algorithm chooses a particular type of hypothesis among all hypotheses available. So that's the study of inductive bias. So on what basis a particular hypothesis is constructed by ID3 among all the available hypothesis space, what we call it, is given in point 3. So that is our ID3 algorithm favors or selects shorter trees over longer ones. Okay, so there are many kinds of trees possible. So there are, we have a tree space, hypothesis space. So whichever, so our ID3 algorithm tends to construct, okay, shorter trees instead of a longer one. Okay, so it selects, okay, selects trees that places. See the second point in the last one. See in our method ID3 algorithm selects trees that place the attributes with highest information gain closest to the root. Okay, so these are the two bases on which our from a set of hypotheses a particular hypothesis is taken. Okay, so first is our ID3 selects in a hypothesis space shorter trees over longer trees. Shorter trees is more favored, okay, in our algorithm, and also a particular tree which is arranged such that the higher a attribute which has higher information gain is placed closer to the root. So if you observe, root has the highest information gain, and subsequent hierarchy will see decreasing information gain. So if you go in the top down approach, if you go in the bottom up approach, the in the level of a leaf -1 level, okay, so the attribute value will be having the lowest information gain as we proceed towards the root. Okay, so the attribute value will be having a higher information gain. So that's what the point is telling us. So our ID3 algorithm prefers trees, and whichever attribute has the highest higher information gain, those are closer to the root. Okay, so these characteristic whichever hypothesis has in the hypothesis space, those hypotheses or those trees are selected by the ID3 algorithm. That will be the inductive bias. We have tendency, our ID3 algorithm have tendency or bias towards trees which are shorter, and also in the whatever the order of information gain is from higher to lower in a top down approach. So this is our inductive bias. So now we give a comparison between inductive bias of ID3 and also inductive bias of candidate elimination algorithm. Okay, so candidate elimination algorithm and ID3, so they are inductive bias. We compare them, and in ID3, so it is called preferential biases. Okay, so candidate elimination algorithm, it is called restriction biases. So we'll first see the characteristic of inductive bias in ID3, so then we'll go on to compare it with the candidate elimination algorithm. So we'll see the point. ID3 searches incompletely through this space, okay, through the hypothesis space, from simple to complex hypothesis until its termination condition is met. Okay, so once we get our required hypothesis, that is previous slide we have seen, right? So we have a shorter tree, and also the information gain is higher information gain node will be near to the root. So if those conditions are met, if we get that kind of tree, that is the terminal condition, so it stops searching, don't have to search it. So inductive bias is solely a consequence of ordering of hypothesis by search strategy. Okay, so suppose if you have 1 to 10 hypothesis, and the second hypothesis is what favors our ID3, okay, so which has the characteristic of ID3 algorithm, so in the second hypothesis only we will stop. Okay, so we don't have to go on searching the different hypothesis space. Okay, so we have different trees possible for a given data set, just like different hypothesis possible. Okay, so our ID3 algorithm, it constructed trees which is equivalent to picking up a tree among all the trees possible which is shorter and which has the ordering of our required way of information gain. Okay, so this is the ID3 search characteristic. Along with that, the second point, the inductive bias of ID3 is thus a preference for certain hypothesis. We give preference to shorter trees. Okay, so that's why it is called a preferential bias. Okay, so preference for certain hypothesis over others with no hard restriction on hypothesis that can be eventually enumerated. So this forms the bias, form of bias is typically called preferential bias. Okay, so this is about ID3. So ID3 picks up the first hypothesis which suits its characteristic, and also as it has a preference towards a shorter tree, so it is also called a preferential bias. ID3's inductive bias is called preferential bias. So if you see the candidate elimination algorithm's inductive bias, so the characteristic is it completely searches the space. Just remember that all possible hypotheses we generate from the specific and general boundary, right? So it searches this hypothesis space completely, finding every hypothesis consistent with the training data. We did that in candidate elimination algorithm. So inductive bias is solely a consequence of expressive power of its hypothesis representation. So this we have to, what is this meaning? So it's solely dependent on the general and specific boundary of its hypothesis representation. Okay, expressive power. Expressive power here means, for example, all are don't care conditions. Okay, so then we refine to where 5 don't care conditions are there. That is the expressive power. Okay, so it solely depend. So candidate elimination algorithm searches every hypothesis possible. Okay, so while doing the algorithm we have seen this. Okay, so so we pick some hypothesis upon, depending upon the boundaries, specific and general boundary, right? So we are putting some restriction that between the specific and general boundary all the hypotheses we accept. Okay, so set of hypotheses we accept, so we are putting that restriction. That's why this is called a restriction bias. Okay, so the bias of candidate elimination algorithm is in the form of a categorical restriction. So categorically we are restricting between general and specific hypothesis, right? So bias in the candidate elimination algorithm is in the form of a categorical restriction on the set of hypotheses considered. So this form of bias is called restriction bias. Okay, so this is about the comparison between how the basis of a candidate elimination algorithm of selecting some particular hypothesis, and what is the basis of ID3 algorithm for selecting some type of hypothesis. Okay, so a preferential bias, so we know that what is the restriction bias and preferential bias. So which is good, which is bad, so we will just see now. So a preferential bias is more desirable than a restriction bias. Why? Because it allows a learner to work within a complete hypothesis space that is assured to contain the unknown target function. Here unknown target function means what? Unknown target function means, suppose you have trained your data set. Okay, so later why have you trained? So that when you get an unknown instance, okay, unknown situation, you classify the instance correctly. Okay, so why do you learn in the examination? Whenever question paper is given, you answer it correctly, right? So in a similar way, whenever a unknown instance is given, an unknown scenario is given, using the values obtained or earned during the training, so this new instance our hypothesis has to correctly classify. Okay, so in preferential biased, it is guaranteed that a hypothesis will be correctly predicting the unknown target function. If we have the decision tree, so we can search the decision tree and we can compare the values and predict it correctly. So preferential bias is more desirable than restriction bias. That's the reason. Okay, so there is a guarantee in the preferential bias that there will be a hypothesis such that unknown instance also it will correctly classify. So that is the guarantee. That's why we have preferential bias. We give preference to preferential bias. So we say restriction bias is not desirable because so we used in candidate elimination algorithm, so we eliminated many candidate hypotheses depending upon the specific and boundary, right? So while eliminating, we may have eliminated a very good hypothesis. So a restriction bias that strictly limits the set of potential hypothesis is generally less desirable because it introduces the possibility of excluding the unknown target function altogether. Okay, so some hypothesis has a character where it was very good in classifying an unknown instance, okay, new instance, but our candidate elimination algorithm eliminated that one because of the general and specific boundary. So a restriction based bias is less desirable. It may be eliminating our a very good hypothesis. So preferential bias is preferred, restriction bias is not preferred. So what did we learn here? So first thing is what is the basis of ID3's inductive bias? Okay, so what is inductive bias? The basis on which a particular hypothesis is selected from our algorithm, so that basis is biased towards some kind of hypothesis. So what is inductive bias of ID3? Then we compare the inductive biases of candidate elimination algorithm and ID3 algorithm, and later we now which is good, which is bad, we gave a judgment. Okay, so if in examination if we get a question, explain inductive bias of ID3, so write about ID3's inductive bias, give a comparison with candidate elimination algorithm, and then say which is good. Okay, so that's what about inductive bias. So why prefer a short hypothesis? So now we gave a judgment that ID3's inductive bias is good. Okay, ID3's way of selecting the hypothesis is good. ID3's basis of selecting hypothesis is a good one. Okay, fine. So we said that shorter trees are preferred. So now the question arises: is really a shorter tree is good? So whether we have to an elaborate tree is needed, or whether shorter trees are fine. Okay, so is it a good basis? Is our inductive bias good? So these are the questions. So first we pick up, shall we prefer shorter hypothesis? Is here the hypothesis is represented by tree, so shall I prefer short tree? So we can ask that question, right? So the first argument, so there are for and against argument, so we are talking about. Okay, so some points say that a short trees or short hypothesis is good, and some say short hypothesis, we cannot say that because it is short it is a good one. Okay, so both kind of arguments we will see now. So the first one, so we have one principle, Occam's razor principle. So what it tells, so simplest hypothesis that fits the data is good one. Okay, simple is best. Okay, prefer the simplest hypothesis. Our Occam razor's principle. Explain Occam's razor's principle. You can get a question like that. Okay. So Occam razor's principle says that we should prefer the simplest hypothesis that fits the data. Simple is good. So that's what Occam razor says. Okay, so Occam razor says simple is good. Okay, so we have a for argument. Next, let's see the second argument, for or against. Let's see. So there are fewer short hypotheses than longer ones. So it is less likely that one will find a shorter hypothesis that coincidentally fits the training data. Okay, so this argument says, okay, fine, shorter hypothesis is the best one, but in the set of hypotheses possible, we have more number of longer or complicated hypotheses and less number of simple hypotheses. So what is the guarantee that you will land up in a simple hypothesis? What is the guarantee? You have a, let's assume 1000 hypotheses, and in that some 10 or 20 are smaller one. So what is the guarantee that a particular algorithm lands up in a very simple hypothesis instead of a more complicated hypotheses are more in number, simple hypotheses are less in number. So what is the guarantee that we will land up in a very simple hypothesis? So this is the argument which is saying, so we have a small number of simple hypotheses and we may not actually get that one. Okay, so the next argument is against argument. So it says, okay, it's a short description, but what is the guarantee that short is good? So why should we believe that a small set of hypotheses consist of decision trees with short description should be any more relevant than multitude of a small set of hypotheses that we might define? Okay, so there are many complicated hypotheses. There are many short hypotheses. So how can we say that a short description are any good, any much good than the complicated hypothesis, remaining complicated hypothesis? Okay, so that's the against argument against argument for Occam razors. So we are talking, we are assumed that okay, ID3 prefers shorter hypothesis. Now we are discussing, so whether this is correct, whether it is good. Okay, so against argument is, okay, you are saying that ID3 algorithm has shorter trees, it prefers shorter trees, but is shorter tree any good than any other type of trees which are available? What is the guarantee for that? So that's the against argument for our ID3 inductive bias. So next argument against a shorter hypothesis, Occam-Razor's principle is that, okay, fine, maybe the hypothesis looks a shorter one, but it may not classify well. Okay, so the how do you represent the hypothesis is determined by how do you represent learning ability of the hypothesis internally. Okay, how do you structure the hypothesis? That tells whether it is a large hypothesis is a or a small hypothesis. So how can we say, depending upon the structure of the hypothesis, so can we say that this is a shorter hypothesis, this is a larger hypothesis? For example, okay, so we have a tree representation, we have a tuple representation. Okay, so in the first module we took a tuple representation, right? So all don't care condition, then line, right? So which is bigger and which is smaller? Can we compare two of them? We have a tree, we have a tuple kind of hypothesis, both are hypotheses. We have a question now that which one is shorter and which one is bigger one, okay, which is more complicated. So we don't have an answer. It depends upon the internal representation of the hypothesis. That's what this point is telling. So the size of the hypothesis is determined by the particular representation used internally by the learner. Okay, so we may have different types of hypothesis. Can we say that the tree, shorter tree which ID3 constructed is a bigger hypothesis and some tuple form is a smaller hypothesis? Can we say that? Okay, we don't know. So that will be an argument here. Okay, so that's why this is the second against argument we have for Occam's razors principle, or the inductive bias, which we have noted that ID3 prefers shorter trees. Okay, it's an argument against that character. So another argument against Occam razor is it will produce again the same thing, continuation of our last point. It will produce two different hypotheses for the same training examples when it is applied by two learners that perceive these example in terms of different internal representation. So our first module, tuple type hypothesis have a different internal representation. Our tree type hypothesis have a different internal representation. Okay, so this Occam razor, so again when we compare which is small, which is big, so for a different exact completely different types of hypothesis, so we cannot judge which is a bigger one, which is a smaller hypothesis. That's what told by this point. It's a continuation of the last point. So this in Occam for in a situation where two different hypotheses for the for the same training example can be formed when we have two different type of learners. So then what? So that's a question mark. Okay, what will Occam razors principle say? Which is the shorter one, which is the larger one? Okay, that's what this point is telling us. So it's a continuation of the previous point. So in the last point, in the favor of Occam razors principle, so it's just a very Occam razor supports the scenario that examines the question of which internal representations might arise from the process of evolution and natural selection. So our tree evolved. Okay, so the attribute values which has had the highest information gain, that was the natural selection. Okay, so it's just saying that Oken Razor's principle supports ID3 algorithm. So that's it. Okay, so that's just said in a complicated way.